Aries, welcome to your weekly reading for August 19th through August 25th. Your card is the Emperor, and the message is not asking you to become a different person overnight. It is asking you to notice the quality of the choices you are already making. The central theme is this: real authority reduces chaos without turning every detail into a battlefield. That may sound simple, but it reaches into the places where habit and identity have been making decisions before you consciously enter the room. This week, pay attention to the difference between leadership versus control. The card is not here to predict one fixed event. It is here to give you a lens that helps you respond more intentionally to whatever actually arrives. The verified cosmic weather gives that card a precise context. On August 22nd, the Sun enters Virgo in your 6th house, bringing attention toward daily systems, work patterns, maintenance, habits, and physical energy. Then on August 25th, Mercury enters Virgo in that same 6th house, adding language, analysis, decisions, and practical thought to the same territory. Those are the only transits we need for this reading. Their usefulness is not that they guarantee an event, it is that they identify a part of life where greater attention may be timely. Virgo asks for detail, usefulness, and discernment. Your card tells you what kind of inner posture to bring to those details. Together, they encourage you to notice what is actually working, what is merely familiar, and what small correction could make a larger difference than another dramatic promise. Now to the card itself, the Emperor. The mature expression of this card asks for discernment. It does not promise that every choice will feel comfortable, and it does not ask you to manufacture confidence. Instead, it gives you a way to test direction. The shadow is mistaking constant intervention for responsibility. So use one question repeatedly this week: what would this choice look like if I were acting from the clearest version of the card rather than from its defensive version? That question can keep the symbolism grounded. Tarot is not replacing judgment here. It is helping you examine the quality of your judgment. The deeper meaning of the Emperor for Aries is not about performing the obvious keyword of the card. It is about applying its wisdom where your usual strengths can become overextended. This week, leadership versus control may show up in subtle ways, in how long you wait before answering, how quickly you volunteer, what you assume another person means, or what you keep doing because it once worked. The key is to recognize that your first instinct can be intelligent and still incomplete. Give yourself one additional beat before important choices. Ask what the choice is protecting, what it is building, and what cost it creates if repeated for 6 months. That longer horizon turns tarot from a mood into a practical lens. Let's move through the areas of life, because the card becomes clearer when it touches something concrete. Love. In love and close connection, clarify the invisible rules in a relationship. Stability is useful, but rigidity is not intimacy. Let standards protect respect without turning the connection into a command structure. The deeper task is to watch whether you are asking another person to manage an insecurity that really needs a clearer conversation with yourself. Relationships become more honest when expectations are spoken before resentment has to translate them. If you are partnered, focus on the quality of the agreement rather than winning a moment. If you are single, focus on behavior that is repeatable rather than chemistry that is only intense. The card does not ask you to close your heart. It asks you to keep your standards connected to reality. Work. In work and purpose, simplify a process, define responsibilities, and stop compensating forever for a system that was never designed well. Led by reducing ambiguity rather than absorbing every emergency. This is a week to value processes that can be repeated. One heroic effort can rescue a deadline, but it rarely creates a sustainable professional life. Ask what the work needs in order to be cleaner, more legible, or more aligned with your actual role. If you are considering a change, look at the structure around the change as carefully as the possibility itself. Competence is not only what you can do under pressure, it is what you can build so that pressure is not always required. Money. With money and resources, create one financial policy before emotion enters the room, a spending ceiling, an automatic transfer, or a clear definition of what counts as an emergency. Try to move one financial choice out of the emotional fog and into a written decision. Numbers can trigger fear, hope, pride, or avoidance, but the number itself is still information. Give yourself enough compassion to look clearly and enough discipline to act on what you see. The goal is not to become rigid. It is to reduce the number of financial decisions that have to be reinvented every time your mood changes. Health and energy. For health and energy, build routines that can survive an imperfect day. Your body is not a subordinate, structure should support feedback, sleep, movement, food, and recovery rather than punish inconsistency. Your body does not need to become another arena where you prove discipline or goodness. Treat signals as information. Notice which practices actually restore capacity and which only create the feeling that you are being productive about your well-being. Sustainable care usually looks less dramatic than a reset. It looks like choices you can repeat even when the week becomes inconvenient. There is also a psychological layer worth naming. For Aries, the week may expose how quickly you equate familiarity with safety. The Emperor interrupts that reflex by asking whether the familiar response still produces the result you want. You do not need to reject your natural style. You need to become more selective about when it is useful. This is where the distinction between leadership versus control becomes practical. The mature choice may feel less dramatic because it does not need to prove anything in the moment. It may simply create less cleanup tomorrow. Pay attention to that. Peace after a decision is useful information. Now let's walk through the week day by day. These are reflection points, not predictions about fixed events. Wednesday. Identify what is truly yours to manage and what you have adopted only because you are capable. Do not force a major conclusion from one moment. Use the day to observe the pattern and make the next reasonable choice. Thursday. Remove one unnecessary step from a recurring task and notice how much energy clarity returns. Do not force a major conclusion from one moment. Use the day to observe the pattern and make the next reasonable choice. Friday. State a boundary or deadline plainly instead of hoping others will infer it. Do not force a major conclusion from one moment. Use the day to observe the pattern and make the next reasonable choice. Saturday. The sun enters Virgo in your 6th house. Use the moment to strengthen one routine that makes life more sustainable. Do not force a major conclusion from one moment. Use the day to observe the pattern and make the next reasonable choice. Sunday. Observe your reaction when plans change. Adaptation will tell you more about your leadership than perfect control. Do not force a major conclusion from one moment. Use the day to observe the pattern and make the next reasonable choice. Monday. Handle what is yours without absorbing everyone else's urgency. Do not force a major conclusion from one moment. Use the day to observe the pattern and make the next reasonable choice. Tuesday. Mercury enters Virgo in your 6th house. Put the system into words, a checklist, schedule, agreement, or recurring reminder. Do not force a major conclusion from one moment. Use the day to observe the pattern and make the next reasonable choice. Before we close, here are exactly 3 journal prompts for the week. Prompt 1. What area of my life needs a clear rule rather than another burst of effort? Prompt 2. Where am I confusing responsibility with control? Prompt 3. What structure would make my daily life safer, simpler, and more sustainable? Your weekly guidance is a concrete assignment, not another idea to admire. Create an Emperor command board with 3 columns: control, delegate, and stop. Put only true responsibilities under control, shared or automatable tasks under delegate, and draining rescue missions or unnecessary standards under stop. Consult it before accepting anything new this week. The purpose is to create evidence. By the end of the week, you should be able to point to one behavior that changed because you understood the card differently. Keep the exercise small enough to finish. A completed experiment teaches you more than an ambitious ritual you abandon halfway through. As you close this reading, remember the central thesis: real authority reduces chaos without turning every detail into a battlefield. You are not required to know the entire outcome. You are being asked to choose the quality of your participation. Let the Emperor become a reminder that symbolic guidance is most useful when it returns you to agency, honesty, and practical action. Your affirmation for the week is: I lead my life with clear structure, flexible strength, and respect for what is truly mine to carry. Carry that with you through August 25th. Subscribe so your next weekly reading is waiting for you. Trust the timing. The stars have spoken.